The internet has given us access to all human knowledge, and somehow people use it to convince themselves that birds aren't real and Finland doesn't exist. These aren't just harmless fun or internet jokes. These are theories that actual people genuinely believe and will argue about at family dinners. From flat Earth to fake snow, here's proof that critical thinking isn't as common as we'd hope. 1. Birds aren't real animals, but government surveillance drones designed to spy on citizens, which explains why you never see baby pigeons and why birds sit on power lines to recharge their batteries. This theory requires believing that the US government successfully killed billions of birds and replaced them with robots without anyone noticing, while simultaneously being incompetent enough that conspiracy theorists figured it out by observing that birds sometimes act like birds. Believers point to the fact that birds disappeared during certain government testing periods, ignoring that these were actually due to natural migration patterns, disease outbreaks, or environmental factors that have been documented by wildlife biologists for decades. 2. The Earth is flat like a dinner plate, with the North Pole at the center, and Antarctica forming an ice wall around the edges to prevent the oceans from spilling off into space. Flat Earthers explain gravity by claiming the disk accelerates upward at 9.8 meters per second squared, apparently unaware this would require infinite energy, and eventually exceed the speed of light, breaking several laws of physics that airline pilots rely on to not crash. They dismiss satellite imagery, circumnavigation records, and basic geometry as part of a global conspiracy involving every space agency, airline, and navigation system on Earth, which would require coordinating millions of people across competing nations to maintain a lie that serves no apparent purpose. 3. Finland doesn't exist and is actually a conspiracy between Russia and Japan to hide illegal fishing operations in the Baltic Sea, with Finnish people being either Russians or actors hired to maintain the illusion. This theory struggles to explain why thousands of people claim to be from a fake country, why Nokia existed, or why anyone would choose such an elaborate scheme to hide fishing when they could just fish legally. Believers insist that all Finnish cultural achievements, from architecture to literature to Olympic victories, are elaborate fabrications maintained by international actors who somehow learned Finnish language and customs perfectly enough to fool the entire world for over a century. 4. Australia doesn't exist either, and everyone who claims to be Australian is actually a paid actor living in a secret location, with all evidence of Australia being fabricated by the government for unknown but definitely sinister reasons. This requires believing that millions of people are committed method actors who maintain their Australian accents 24/7 for a conspiracy that serves no apparent purpose other than confusing geography students. The theory fails to explain how these actors learn to speak with regional Australian dialects, why they would maintain the deception even in private conversations, or how entire film industries, sports leagues, and cultural movements could be fabricated without anyone breaking character or revealing the truth. 5. The moon is hollow and artificial, either built by aliens as a space station or created by an advanced ancient civilization, which explains why it rings like a bell when struck by meteors, and why its orbit is suspiciously perfect for solar eclipses. Actual astronomers point out that the moon doesn't ring like a bell, its orbit isn't suspiciously perfect, and hollow objects can't maintain the gravitational effects we observe and measure daily. The theory ignores that we have rock samples from the moon, that seismic data shows its internal structure, and that its formation through planetary collision is supported by isotope analysis and computer modeling that accurately predicts its current orbital characteristics and geological composition. 6. Chemtrails are secret government programs where commercial airlines spray mind control chemicals on the population through airplane exhaust, disguised as normal condensation trails that would naturally form when hot jet engines meet cold air at high altitudes. This theory requires believing that airline pilots, mechanics, fuel suppliers, and air traffic controllers are all part of a global conspiracy, while somehow being unaware that water vapor exists. Believers claim that normal contrails disappear quickly while chemtrails persist for hours, ignoring that contrail persistence depends on atmospheric humidity and temperature conditions that vary with weather patterns. The theory also fails to explain why governments would use such an inefficient delivery method for mind control when they could simply add chemicals to water supplies or food production systems that would be more effective and easier to conceal. 7. The Denver International Airport is secretly a headquarters for the New World Order, built on top of underground bunkers containing alien technology and Illuminati meeting rooms, with the airport's unusual artwork serving as coded messages for conspiracy insiders. The airport's actual unusual features include expensive construction delays, poor baggage systems, and confusing layouts that suggest incompetence rather than secret global domination headquarters. Conspiracy theorists point to the airport's underground tunnels and unusual architecture as evidence of secret facilities, ignoring that underground infrastructure is standard for major airports, and that the artwork was commissioned from local artists who were paid to create public art, not secret codes. The theory requires believing that a secret organization would advertise their presence through obvious symbolism in one of the world's busiest airports. 8. Mattress firm stores are money laundering operations for criminal organizations, which explains why there are so many mattress stores despite nobody ever shopping for mattresses, and stores always appearing empty when you drive by. This theory overlooks that people do buy mattresses occasionally, stores operate on appointment systems, and retail businesses frequently appear empty because customers don't spend all day shopping for furniture. The prevalence of mattress stores is actually explained by high profit margins, low inventory turnover, and zoning laws that favor furniture retailers in certain commercial areas. Money laundering operations typically use businesses with high cash transactions and difficult to verify inventory, making mattress stores with documented wholesale purchases and delivery tracking systems poor choices for criminal enterprises. 9. The snow that fell during recent winter storms was fake government snow made from chemicals, proven by the fact that it didn't melt normally when exposed to flame and left black residue when burned. Actual snow sublimates when exposed to direct flame rather than melting, and organic materials leave residue when burned, which is basic science taught in elementary school chemistry lessons. This theory gained popularity during unusual weather events when people who rarely experience snow were surprised by its normal physical properties under extreme heat. The black residue comes from soot produced when any organic material burns, and the failure to melt is due to sublimation, the direct transition from solid to gas that occurs when snow meets intense heat, bypassing the liquid phase that people expect to see. 10. Giraffes don't exist and are actually elaborate robot costumes operated by government agents to distract people from more important issues, with all zoo giraffes being mechanical puppets and African wildlife documentaries featuring computer-generated imagery rather than real animals. This requires believing that every zoo worker, veterinarian, and wildlife researcher worldwide is part of an elaborate hoax to convince people that tall animals exist for no apparent reason. The theory fails to explain how these supposed robots would function in the wild, why governments would choose giraffes as distractions rather than more impressive animals, or how the extensive scientific research on giraffe biology, including genetic studies and veterinary medicine, would be fabricated across multiple countries and institutions that have no apparent motive for coordinating such deception. 11. The Beatles never existed as real people but were a government psychological operation designed to influence youth culture and promote certain political ideas through carefully crafted music and public appearances by actors playing fictional characters. This theory struggles to explain why the government would need to invent a rock band to influence teenagers when they could use actual musicians, or why they would choose such an elaborate method of cultural manipulation. 12. Coronavirus vaccines contain microchips designed to track people's movements and control their behavior through 5G networks, despite microchips being too large to fit through vaccine needles, and 5G signals being too weak to power or communicate with microscopic devices even if they existed. This overlooks that people already carry actual tracking devices called smartphones that provide far more detailed surveillance than any theoretical microchip could achieve. 13. The sun is actually small and local, only about 3,000 miles above Earth. moving in circles to create day and night cycles, while a larger lamp called the moon provides nighttime illumination with borrowed light. This theory can't explain seasons, time zones, or why the sun appears the same size from different locations on Earth, or why no one has ever flown an airplane high enough to get close to the supposedly nearby sun. 14. Forests don't naturally grow but are artificially planted by secret organizations to hide underground tunnel systems and alien bases, with all wilderness areas being carefully managed fake environments designed to prevent humans from discovering what's really beneath the surface. This requires believing that every forest ranger, botanist, and outdoor enthusiast is part of a conspiracy to hide tunnels that no one has found, despite centuries of mining, construction, and exploration. 15. Mountains are actually the stumps of ancient giant trees that were cut down by prehistoric civilizations or alien visitors, with geological formations being the remaining root systems of forests inhabited by enormous beings in Earth's distant past. Geologists explain that rock formations have completely different structures than wood, and that the processes that create mountains are well documented and observable, unlike theoretical giant tree-cutting operations. 16. The Titanic never sank, and the disaster was an insurance fraud scheme where a different ship was intentionally sunk, while the real Titanic was secretly renamed and continued operating under a different identity for years afterward. This theory overlooks the extensive documentation of the wreck on the ocean floor, survivor testimonies, and the fact that insurance fraud schemes generally don't involve killing 1,500 people as part of the plan. 17. The internet doesn't actually exist, but is a mass hallucination created by television and radio waves that make people believe they're communicating with others electronically when they're really just experiencing shared delusions. This theory fails to explain how people can communicate with others across the globe, access information instantly, or why the hallucination includes accurate real-time data about weather, traffic, and news events. 18. Dinosaurs never existed, and fossil evidence was planted by scientists to support evolution theory and undermine religious beliefs, with all dinosaur bones being manufactured in laboratories and secretly buried for paleontologists to discover. This requires believing that every museum, university, and research institution worldwide is part of a conspiracy to fake prehistoric life, while somehow overlooking that many religious people accept both faith and science simultaneously. 19. The concept of outer space is fiction, designed to hide the fact that Earth is enclosed in a dome, with stars being lights attached to the dome's ceiling, and space exploration being elaborate hoaxes filmed on movie sets. This theory can't explain how satellites work, why people in different locations see different constellations, or how GPS navigation functions if there are no satellites orbiting a spherical Earth. 20. Every celebrity death is fake, and famous people are secretly relocated to witness protection programs or private islands when they want to retire from public life, with funeral services and death certificates being elaborate hoaxes to allow celebrities to escape fame. This overlooks that celebrities already have enough money to retire privately without faking their deaths, and that maintaining fake death conspiracies would be more complicated than just becoming private citizens. 21. The Bermuda Triangle is a portal to other dimensions where ships and planes are transported to parallel universes, which explains the mysterious disappearances in that region of the ocean that can't be accounted for by normal weather, navigation errors, or mechanical failures. Coast Guard statistics show that the Bermuda Triangle has no more disappearances than other heavily traveled ocean areas, and most reported incidents have mundane explanations involving storms, pilot error, or equipment failure. 22. Trees are actually alien technology designed to monitor human activity and communicate information back to extraterrestrial observers with their widespread distribution and ability to sense environmental changes, serving as a planetary surveillance network disguised as natural vegetation. Botanists point out that tree behavior is well understood through photosynthesis, root networks, and chemical signaling that doesn't require alien technology to explain how plants respond to their environment. 23. The stock market is entirely controlled by time travelers from the future, who know which investments will be profitable and manipulate markets to ensure historical events occur according to their timeline's requirements. This theory can't explain market volatility, unexpected crashes, or why future time travelers would need to manipulate past markets rather than just enjoying their superior technology and knowledge in their own time period. 24. All mirrors are actually windows into parallel dimensions, and the reflections people see are alternate versions of themselves living slightly different lives in adjacent realities, with mirror manufacturers being unaware they're producing interdimensional viewing devices. This overlooks that mirrors work through simple light reflection that follows predictable physics laws, and that parallel universe theories don't require bathroom accessories to access alternate realities. 25. The ocean is actually much shallower than claimed, with deep sea exploration being hoaxes designed to hide the fact that the ocean floor contains ancient cities and alien bases that governments don't want people to discover. This theory ignores that underwater pressure increases with depth in measurable ways, that marine life varies by depth zones, and that submarine technology operates according to physics principles that require accurate depth measurements to function safely. 26. Libraries are secret government information control centers, where books are monitored to track what people are reading and thinking, with librarians serving as intelligence agents who report on citizens' intellectual interests and research activities. This overlooks that libraries promote free access to information, that people can read books without checking them out, and that internet browsing provides far more detailed surveillance data than library checkout records ever could. 27. The concept of gravity is fake, and objects fall down because the Earth is constantly accelerating upward at 9.8 meters per second squared, which creates the illusion of gravitational attraction without requiring the existence of a mysterious force that pulls objects toward massive bodies. This theory can't explain why objects of different masses fall at the same rate, how orbital mechanics work, or why the Earth's supposed acceleration doesn't eventually exceed the speed of light. 28. All historical events before 1900 are fabricated, and human civilization is actually much younger than claimed, with ancient artifacts being manufactured in modern times to create fake historical timelines that serve mysterious political or religious purposes. This requires believing that every museum, archaeological site, and historical document worldwide is part of a conspiracy to fake human history for reasons that serve no apparent practical purpose. 29. The alphabet was designed by secret societies to control human thinking through subconscious letter symbolism, with the shapes and sounds of letters containing hidden meanings that influence behavior and perception, without people realizing they're being manipulated through basic literacy. This overlooks that alphabets developed naturally over thousands of years across different cultures, and that letter shapes vary significantly between writing systems while serving the same basic communication functions. 30. Vitamins are actually poison designed to weaken the population and make people dependent on medical systems, with pharmaceutical companies secretly adding harmful chemicals to nutritional supplements while promoting them as health products. Medical research shows that vitamins are organic compounds necessary for human health, that deficiency diseases occur without proper nutrition, and that supplement regulation requires ingredient disclosure and safety testing. 31. The human appendix is actually a receiving device for alien communications, surgically removed to prevent people from accessing extraterrestrial messages that would reveal the truth about humanity's cosmic origins and purpose. Medical science shows that the appendix is a vestigial organ involved in immune function, that appendicitis occurs due to bacterial infection rather than alien interference, and that people function normally after appendix removal without losing any communication abilities. 32. Sleep is artificially induced by government agents who use nighttime hours to program people's minds with subliminal messages and implant false memories, while citizens are unconscious and vulnerable to mental manipulation. Sleep research demonstrates that sleep is a biological necessity required for brain function, memory consolidation, and physical health, with sleep patterns being consistent across all cultures and species, regardless of government systems. 33. The concept of weather is artificially created by massive machines hidden underground, with natural climate patterns being replaced by technological weather control systems that manipulate temperature, precipitation, and atmospheric conditions for agricultural and population control purposes. Meteorology explains weather through atmospheric pressure, temperature gradients, and solar heating that operate according to physics principles observable everywhere on Earth, with weather patterns being predictable through mathematical models rather than machine operations. 34. All professional sports are scripted entertainment, similar to professional wrestling, with game outcomes predetermined by league officials who coordinate with players, coaches, and referees to create dramatic storylines that maintain audience interest and maximize television revenues. This overlooks the statistical impossibility of coordinating every player, official, and outcome across multiple sports leagues while maintaining competitive integrity that includes unexpected results and genuine athletic achievement. 35. The food pyramid was designed by alien visitors to make humans gain weight and become easier to harvest for food, with nutritional guidelines being deliberately misleading to create a population of livestock suitable for extraterrestrial consumption. Nutritional science shows that dietary recommendations are based on human biology, disease prevention research, and agricultural economics rather than alien farming strategies, with food guidelines varying between countries based on local health data. 36. Mathematics is a form of mind control designed to limit human thinking to logical patterns that prevent people from accessing intuitive knowledge and spiritual insights that would reveal hidden truths about reality and consciousness. This theory ignores that mathematics describes observable patterns in nature, that mathematical principles work consistently across cultures and time periods, and that mathematical thinking enhances rather than limits human problem-solving capabilities and creativity. 37. The Postal Service is a surveillance operation where mail carriers collect intelligence about neighborhood activities and personal communications, with package deliveries serving as opportunities to gather information about people's purchasing habits, relationships, and daily routines. This overlooks that mail delivery is a basic communication service, that postal workers are focused on efficiency rather than espionage, and that electronic communications provide far more detailed surveillance opportunities than physical mail observation ever could. 38. Dogs are actually alien spies sent to monitor human behavior and report back to extraterrestrial observers through telepathic communications, disguised as normal pet behavior like barking, tail wagging, and following their owners around. This theory can't explain why dogs show the same behaviors in isolated areas with no humans present, why dog behavior is consistent with other domestic animals, or how telepathic communication would work across interstellar distances. 39. The concept of retirement is a government scheme to eliminate elderly people by convincing them to stop working and become economically useless, leading to premature death through inactivity and social isolation, rather than allowing seniors to remain productive members of society. Demographic research shows that retirement systems develop to support aging populations, that many retirees remain active and healthy for decades, and that life expectancy has increased along with retirement programs rather than decreased. 40. All photographs are fake because cameras were invented by the government to create false evidence for historical events, legal proceedings, and news stories, with photographic technology being designed primarily for deception rather than accurate image recording. This overlooks that photography operates through optical physics, that photographic evidence is corroborated by multiple sources, and that photo manipulation techniques are distinct from basic photography and detectable through technical analysis. 41. The educational system was designed by secret societies to prevent people from learning real knowledge about history, science, and human potential, with schools serving as indoctrination centers that promote conformity rather than critical thinking and creativity. This ignores that educational systems vary significantly between countries and cultures, that many schools explicitly teach critical thinking skills, and that education provides demonstrable benefits for individual and societal development across all areas of human knowledge. 42. Traffic lights are synchronized to waste fuel and increase driving time, creating artificial inefficiencies that benefit oil companies and government agencies that collect traffic fines from frustrated drivers who speed or run red lights due to poor signal timing. Traffic engineering shows that signal timing is optimized for safety and traffic flow, that poorly timed lights reduce rather than increase government revenue, and that fuel efficiency benefits everyone, including governments that depend on economic productivity. 43. The concept of bacteria and viruses is fabricated to sell cleaning products and medical treatments, with germ theory being a marketing scheme designed to make people afraid of invisible threats that don't actually exist or cause the diseases attributed to them. Medical science demonstrates that pathogens are observable through microscopes, that infectious diseases follow predictable patterns, and that sanitation practices reduce illness rates in measurable ways that work consistently across different populations and time periods. 44. All movies and television shows contain subliminal messages designed to program viewers with specific beliefs and behaviors, with entertainment media serving as mass brainwashing tools rather than simple storytelling or artistic expression. This theory can explain why people have diverse reactions to the same media, why entertainment preferences vary between individuals and cultures, or how subliminal messaging would work effectively across the wide variety of content and viewing contexts that exist in modern media. 45. And finally, the most comprehensive conspiracy theory of all. Everything is a conspiracy, and no information can be trusted because all sources are controlled by shadowy organizations that manipulate every aspect of human knowledge and experience for purposes that remain mysterious but are definitely malevolent. This meta-conspiracy theory makes itself impossible to disprove because any evidence against it is automatically dismissed as part of the conspiracy, creating a closed loop of paranoid thinking that immunizes itself against facts, logic, and contradictory evidence, while providing no actionable insights about how the world actually works or how to live successfully within it. Here's the truth about conspiracy theories. They appeal to people because they provide simple explanations for complex problems and make believers feel special for knowing hidden information. But reality is usually more complicated than conspiracies suggest, and actual cover-ups are typically exposed by investigative journalism rather than internet speculation. The most dangerous conspiracy is the one that prevents you from learning how things actually work by convincing you that all legitimate information sources are lying to you. Want to avoid falling for conspiracy theories? Learn to evaluate evidence, understand how institutions actually work, and remember that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Subscribe if you prefer facts over fiction and science over speculation.